Welcome to another Pow Pow World video. If you don't know what Pow Pow World is, in short, I'm creating my own creature collector world inspired by the likes of Pokemon, Digimon, and other monster tamers. The collectible critters of this world are called Pow Pows, and on this channel, I'll be showing you how I designed them as well as building out my fictional world piece by piece. I highly recommend starting from the beginning if you want to be up to date with everything, but otherwise, let's continue on with the video. Today we'll be going over some Pow Pows of the mischievous and spooky variety, and because of that, they are also some of my favorites. I will be showcasing two 2-stage lines and one 3-stage line. For each line, I took an existing design from my other fictional world project, Sweet Dreams, and will be readjusting them here for Pow Pow World. So if you've been following me for a while on Instagram, they may look a bit familiar to you. Anyway, let's get into the first design. This first design was made back in 2021, so about 2 years ago, which is crazy to me. I remember being really into Spinnerack at the time, and I wanted to have a go at designing my own cool little spider. I really wanted to make it cute, so I shot for an almost potato-ish body shape. I also like how in Pokemon, spider-based Pokemon don't need to have 8 legs to be a spider, because it can be really hard to squeeze that many limbs into a design and still have it be simple and read well. So I took the same liberties here and gave it only 6, which is enough for it to read as a spider in my opinion. I love that Spinnerack's abdomen pattern makes a face, and I want to do something like that too with my spider. But I also didn't want to just make a Spinnerack clone, and that's when I thought maybe instead of pattern looking like a face, what about a singular large eye? I could imagine these spiders hanging from webs in the darkness, and their huge eye pattern would scare off Pow Pows and people. But instead of it being just a pattern, I thought it'd be extra cool if it were an actual eye. And they almost act like the surveillance cameras of the forest, using their huge eye on their abdomen to keep watch of their surroundings. And they would connect their webs to one another like wires or cables to link their vision to one another or to a head spider. Spider. Spider have 3 eyes total. 2 eyes on the front of their heads that provide normal, everyday vision, and a large, powerful eye on their abdomen. To use this magical eye on its back, it must shut both of its front eyes and focus its power to the large eye. This can also be done while they're sleeping. This eye can see up to 15 miles in complete darkness and even record visual information like a camera. It can send this visual information to other spider by linking its web to theirs. Also, here's what it looks like when it's hanging and using its magic eye. Its name comes from spider, spy, and eye. Probably one of my best names so far if I don't say so myself. I went with the night and magic type for now since it's a spider that primarily uses its powers at night, and a magic type since its powers feel very magic oriented, but I don't know. Don't love its typing, but it works for now. The typing system is still very much a work in progress, so I can see myself changing this typing maybe later. The design is really simple, but I think it accomplishes everything it wants to do, which I'm happy with. Plus, it looks so cute to me, which I love. It's such an old design, but even to this day, I still love it and haven't found anything I want to change about it, which is good, since I already see myself changing some of the Pow Pows I've already showcased. Spider was originally created just to be a weird magic spider in my world of Sweet Dreams, so I never thought to give it an evolution. But since we're taking it and including it in Pow Pow World, I think an evolution is definitely warranted. Since Spider act like a system of security cameras, I thought it would be cool to have an evolution that sits behind the scenes observing all the visual information provided by the network of Spider. Sort of like a surveillance operator, or like Wade in Kim Possible. I knew I wanted to still keep the eye in some way since I felt like it's a core piece of this line. I started off with a more humanoid body since in my head the image of a Pow Pow collecting and using information feels quite human-like, using its pre-evolutions as surveillance cameras. I knew I wanted multiple hands since it is a spider, but also so it can manage multiple webs of information at a time. I kept trying to make this humanoidish spider creature work, but I felt it kept looking too agile or capable. Like something that could climb buildings like Spider-Man, and not like a Pow Pow that would sit in the shadows, utilizing cameras to plot out its attacks and strategy. Once I changed the spider shape to a more centipede-ish one, it started to look a lot better for me. It had this hunch to it, which I liked. Reminds me of how I look sometimes staring and working on my computer all day. And there's something so sinister to the pose too, which works well. At first, I gave it hands, but I changed them to spikes instead. This helps it be less human-like and more scary bug creature thing. I figured these could also shoot out webs and attach to various webs to view information. Because this creature kind of works behind the shadows, I don't imagine it being very mobile either. So I like the idea of it not having legs and looking quite stationary, but it could slither away if needed. I also added a large spike at the end just to balance out the design, but I also like it as a sort of last resort weapon when you do manage to get too close to this Pow Pow. Arachmin. Arachmin use their large spiked limbs to tap into various webs weaved by Spider. They take in these visual inputs from the webs to lay traps for those who enter its territory. Although they are slow, it is very hard to stumble upon Arachmin since they are always 4 steps ahead. Its name comes from a combination of arachnid and mind, and it keeps the same typing as its previous form. I was hesitant about its design since I kind of ditched the spider anatomy altogether, but I think for the design and its role in the evolution, it works well. Plus, it's kind of unexpected, which I think is fun. The only worry is that maybe it's too different from the original pre-evolution, and maybe instead I should make it more like a pair of Pow Pows that work together in a kind of symbiotic relationship kind of way. I think the design works, but it doesn't really play to any of my personal biases, so I feel like something might be missing, but I'm not really sure. Let me know if I should take a second crack at its design. I really can't decide, or let me know any opinions on what I could change or do, but for now I'm pretty content with this design. This next design is about 2 years old. Originally, it was a demon coin purse, a living accessory in my other fictional world of Sweet Dreams. But I liked the design and thought it had potential as a base Pow Pow that could evolve. I like having very simple Pow Pows. This guy is pretty much just a face with wings, yet I think it's really lovable. At least for me. I also like its colors. Maybe my favorite color scheme so far. I didn't alter the original design too much. All I had to do was remove the chain, since it's no longer a coin purse and it was pretty much good to go for Pow Pow World. D-Bat. Tunnels and caves leading to the underworld are littered with D-Bat. These creatures eat pretty much anything they can find, but their favorite thing to eat is gold. D-Bat's name comes from the word demon and bat. I wanted to incorporate the fact that it was originally a coin purse by having it eat gold in its lore, when it originally used to store gold as a coin purse. As you can see, it has the demon type, a newly added type to my current type system. I really went back and forth, and I still do, on whether to include it or not. But I love demon designs so much that I can definitely see myself needing it in the future. Even right now, I wasn't really able to give D-Bat and its evolution a typing I was happy with. None of my current types really did this Pow Pow justice. Again, this still might change, but I am happy with it right now. Other names I am also thinking of instead of demon are Chaos, Wicked, Imp, Fiend, and Infernal type. But as of now, I do like demon best. But I'm open to opinions. D-Bat definitely needs an evolution. It was pretty open as far as direction goes for what it could be, since it is such a simple design. I want to give its evolution a full body now so it could feel more whole. I feel like a big defining feature of D-Bat is this large mouth that eats gold. This made me think of themes of gluttony and greed, so I knew I wanted to make it quite plump and maybe even piggish in shape. I love its tiny wings, and I kinda wanted to keep it the same size to play up its chubbiness. Plus they kinda remind me of Devilman's ear things, so it's a small nod to him since I love Devilman Crybaby. Since we were going the demon route, I wanted to give it the typical demon traits like a pointed tail and horns since I love those traits, hence why I love demon-like designs. And the colors I pretty much kept the same from D-Bat since I love them so much. Fiendle. Unlike D-Bat, which consumes physical matter, Fiendle consumes spirits and souls. It especially loves the taste of souls that are evil and sinister. Although it eats a lot, it is actually quite light since its food is spectral. Fiendle have wings but don't use them to fly. They constantly levitate even when they are asleep. Fiendle's name primarily comes from the word fiend, which is just another word for demon. It now has the added spirit type because of all the spirits it consumes. It sort of explains its ability to float. Fiendle is actually my favorite Pow Pow I've created so far. Granted, I haven't shown that many so far, but I still have over 20 Pow Pows I haven't shown yet. It just plays so well into my personal biases. I love demons, the colors are so good, and I love how simple it is. It kinda gives me Gengar vibes, which is one of my favorite Pokemon for all the same reasons I love Fiendle. I also love chompy critters, and he also fits that. Its design really just has everything I like. I'm so glad that I included D-Bat as a Pow Pow just so that it could lead me here to creating its evolution Fiendle. Now we have the 3-stage line. Similar to my Zaptor line, this line started with the middle stage Pow Pow design. In my previous world, the middle stage was just a standalone creature, with no intentions to give it a pre-evolution or an evolution. But since it's in Pow Pow world now, I think it needs both. So here's the first stage. The design honestly came together really quickly since I think the concept was quite solid and simple. Just a little spirit puppy. Wispup, the spirit puppy. Wispup are extremely skittish and will vanish if it senses others nearby. You will never find them far from their pack. Its name comes from the word wisp and puppy. I'm really happy with Wispup's design. I mean, Ghost Puppy, what's not to like? As I mentioned before, the middle stage was designed first. I had a little wolf doodle that I liked and thought I could use it to make some kind of spirit, wolf, fox, dog creature that inhabited my spirit forest in the world of Sweet Dreams, my previous project. Acting very similarly to kitsune in Japanese folklore being tricksters. I wanted to play up the tail since it needed something to grab your attention, which works itself a bit into the lore. I messed with the colors for quite some time since I was worried the colors were too intense. I went through a couple color combinations, but I eventually ended up with the original colors because they were my favorite. Plus, they do bring a different flair to the kitsune based designs, which is good because there are a ton of them out there. Kaife, the spirit hound. Kaife are spirits that love to play with people who wander into the woods. Their bright, glowing tails act as a light to lead lost travelers through the dark forest. Where Kaife will lead you though is questionable. The name Kaife comes from the combination of the word yokai and wolf. I feel really good about Kaife, and it was quite well received on my Instagram when I posted it almost a year ago now. I feel like dog-like designs always really tug at people's hearts, and it especially does for me. I also like that it plays with the kitsune inspiration a bit, while still being more on the wolf side, which I want to carry on into its next evolution. For its evolution, going the nine-tailed fox path was the obvious route, and it made sense too. But I definitely didn't want it to look like every other kitsune design out there. My first sketch leaned into a more divine and confident canine, but it wasn't quite there. My second sketch went very fox-like, but it looked super generic. Both of them so far were missing that it factor for me. For the next sketch, I really wanted to push the personality a bit more. I wanted to lean into the trickster and mischievous nature of the kitsune. Once I got that face down, the rest of the body followed quite naturally. I wanted to make the tails those swirly flames since yokai typically are depicted with them, but I also love swirly clouds and flames and will always try to find an excuse to include them. Just makes things feel a bit more mystical. The overall body and pose seemed way too short and awkward, like some sort of dog rather than a wolf or a fox, so I had to readjust that. I fixed up the pose and tried to lengthen out the body to make it seem less dog and less awkward. I also tried to make the rest of the body more interesting by including more wavy hairs that resemble the flames and tail. I also had to adjust the pose because it was looking a bit stiff. Posing and anatomy in general are definitely a weak points of mine and I definitely need to work on it. I played with the body patterns a bit because it was hard to find a way to distribute the colors and make it not so monotonous. It was coming together, but I feel like it ended up way more fox-like than I wanted, and the fiery hair bits on the body felt a bit busy and over-designed. So I went back and tried to thicken out the body to give it a bit more of an intimidating form. I wanted to bring back a bit of that wolf-like body before, with maybe a bit of a hyena in there too. I feel like that really helped the design, and it made it look much more formidable and intimidating. I also went back and simplified some of the body patterns and added a couple stripes to break up all the purple negative space on the body, and the design was looking good. Kitsul, the spirit wolf. Kitsul often have 3 tails, but they have been recorded having more. The largest number of tails documented on a single Kitsul is 9. Kitsul's name comes from the combination of the word kitsune and soul. I am very happy with this line. I think 3-stage lines are really hard to make, but they are really rewarding once I complete them. I love how these 3 designs are connected to one another, but different and have their own unique charm. It's important to make the final form exceptionally cool, but I also want the other 2 stages to be appealing in their own right, and not just be a stepping stone for the final form. I hope every captain who decides to include a Kitsul on their team enjoys each stage as much as I do. It's probably my favorite progression for a 3-stage line so far, given I have only made 2 3-stagers so far, not including this one. Well, these are all the Pow Pows revealed for today's video. They definitely lean on my personal biases for mischievous and sort of evil looking creatures. Let me know if you'd add any of these rascals to your team. Favorites, least favorites, why? You know I love to hear it all. Also, of course, any feedback on any of the Pow Pows is always welcome. Especially on Arachnid, since I'm not sure how to feel about that design. I go back and forth on it, so I would love some input on that design. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate you giving it a like. And if you want to see more, definitely subscribe because there's more to come. Anyway, thanks so much for watching and I'll catch you next time.